I'm Fred Cunningham, and welcome to First Responder Friday on WSPA+. Every Friday on 7 News, we profile law enforcement officers, firefighters, EMS, 911 operators, and many other professionals in the Carolinas who respond in times of an emergency. Let's meet some of the people who have devoted their lives to service and run towards trouble when the rest of us are trying to get out of the way. Continues on this Friday morning in Greenville, Fall for Greenville, and of course it's also First Responder Friday. We're joined this morning by Josh, Ethan, and Samuel. They are all members of Greenville City's Public Works, and they have just had an enormous job over these last 6 weeks or so since Helene. And first of all, if you can maybe put into some kind of perspective just how big of a job you guys were facing and continue to.
It's a pretty big job. I mean, Hurricane Helene did quite the number on the city, and it's just an ongoing process. You know, we've picked up roughly 314,000 cubic yards so far.
Goodness. And
the contractors are now starting their second pass through the city to get all the big wood. So it's a lot of work, and it's going to be a slow recovery, but we're getting it done.
We were talking before we started about the fact that while you're talking about a lot of down trees, you're still dealing with trees that are a potential problem that are you call leaners.
Yep, we've been going around the city, doing all the routes, just looking for those leaners, trying to get everything cleaned up.
Samuel, I think a lot of people also forget that while you're dealing with Helene, just days before that hurricane, you had a huge, severe thunderstorm that came through here and caused a lot of problems. I mean, you guys didn't need a warm-up act.
Correct. So prior to even dealing with Helene's damages, we had microbursts come in, multiple hangers.
I know you're asking everyone to be patient, but you're going to get there.
Yeah, and we're working tirelessly. You know, we're obviously Fall for Greenville this weekend, so let's kind of take that reprieve to enjoy ourselves and stuff, and then it's right back to it on Monday to get this stuff cleaned up.
All right, well, Josh, Ethan, and Samuel, thank you for what you've done. This is an enormous fall job that I'm sure none of us were anticipating. We appreciate your efforts, and thanks for being with us this morning. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Mike Farrell says he decided to get into law enforcement for a basic and simple reason.
There's people that are trying to live, work, and raise their kids, and there's people in this world that want to kind of cause that to be a problem. And somebody has to do something about it.
Since joining Greer Police in 2010, that's what he did, rising to the rank of patrol sergeant. But last November, Farrell took a demotion to become the department's crisis intervention officer.
I saw this glaring problem with policing in general to where we're responding to all of these types of calls where there's mental health involved. I felt like a better solution for us as a police department and better response for law enforcement in general is to have a team or a person dedicated to those responses.
Sometimes those calls can be dramatic. A Charleston police officer recently pulled a man to safety who was threatening to jump off an interstate bridge.
I don't know if it's post-COVID type thing, but there's been a massive increase in these types of calls. And also just the mental health system in our country and in our state.
Most of the time, Farrell says a call starts like this.
When I show up, I try to, as much as possible on my end, to treat them with as much dignity about what they're going through, because they are legitimate things. I'll see what I can do.
That would be awesome.
I could probably find something. Sometimes it really is just a conversation, and it just takes that conversation for us to be able to de-escalate somebody to the point to where they can listen to reason. And then when they start to listen to reason, we can start working them towards a solution.
I'm Fred Cunningham, and that's First Responder Friday. Our zip trip to Chesney continues, and we are joined by the Assistant Fire Chief of the Cherokee Creek Fire Department, Chaz Price. First of all, you are a Chesney native, Chesney High School Eagle in the past. Tell me what got you into firefighting.
Yes, sir. It's something I've always wanted to do my entire life, from my kindergarten graduation. That's what I stood up and said when they asked me what I wanted to be, and followed through with it.
There are not many people who would know that early on. Do you remember what it was? I mean, I know kindergarten's a long time ago, obviously.
Oh yes. Just the lights and truck got my attention, and just followed through with it, wanting to help others.
And here you are serving. Tell me a little bit about the Cherokee Creek Fire Department in the area you serve.
Sure, it's Cherokee Creek Fire Department is approximately 39 square miles in our district.
Wow.
Service about 9,000 people, number going up every day. We run about 500 to 600 calls a year, depending.
We like to see fire trucks with the lights on. They're cool to watch, but you want to go to people's homes with them off because you want to help folks. I know you go to too many fire scenes where you go and there was not a working smoke detector. Kind of tell me about the program that you have, please.
Sure. So we've partnered with State Fire, and we have a smoke detector program where we will actually come out to the resident's home in our district and check their smoke detectors that are existing, make sure they're good to go. If not, we have some on hand free of charge that we will come install, test, and give them a little knowledge about fire safety while we're there.
That's terrific, and you can obviously do something, doesn't take very much time. If someone wants to take advantage of the program, what should they do?
So they should definitely call the station Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, 489-0172, or message us on Facebook.
All right, Facebook's an easy way for everyone to find someone these days. Chaz Price with the Cherokee Creek Fire Department, the Assistant Chief, thanks for being with us this morning. Thanks for everything you do for us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
And that is First Responder Friday. As you can see, these stories are just a way for us to say thank you to the men and women who are our local first responders. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, more of the people and stories that make up First Responder Friday. Welcome back to 7 News First Responder Friday right here on WSPA+. We'll continue now with the stories of our brave local first responders and how they serve our communities. Take a look. If you call for an ambulance in Oconee County, there's a good chance a specialist named Burton will come to your door. For Ashley Burton, it was more rewarding than being a plant supervisor.
Yes, I can't imagine doing this just for a job and money. So I believe it's a calling.
His daughter Leah had other plans. She also grew up in Seneca, wanting to get into medicine.
Went to school to be an ultrasound tech. Had no passion in it. In about, I think it was 3 semesters, my heart wasn't in it. So I was looking for an outlet.
That led to a conversation with Dad.
So I told him I was thinking about doing an EMT class, and he made me promise him that I was not going to like the truck.
But this picture came from her first day on a truck.
Didn't want anything to do with truck life. Came my first day for ride time for school and fell in love with it.
As a father, initially I didn't want her doing it. We're not oblivious to the fact that society is changing. More dangers, there's more drugs, there's more violence out there. So we're first line. So we depend a lot on the cops. So as a dad, I wasn't for it.
My first day, I got to see a ventilator used in the field. We got to give blood, which at the time not a lot of places were doing. So just the amount of stuff that we could do to help people. I always had felt like I had a compassion to actually help people.
The Burtons tell us the law prevents them from working on the same truck together.
But I love working on the same shift as him, so we still see each other at work, but it's kind of separate, which is nice.
For now, Ashley plans to stay on the truck, but...
I got a few more years. This is rough on the body. I'm not a young guy, just 46, so I'm not old either, but I love the teaching part of this job.
And down the road, Leah has another kind of teaching in mind.
I would like to have my flight medic, which I'm hoping to have in the next year or two maybe. Life, I want to be a stay-at-home mom and homeschool like my mom.
That's First Responder Friday. First Responder Friday. We are joined by Battalion Chief Matthew Hosley from Valley Hill Fire and Rescue. First of all, thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
You've been with this department for 22 years. You're from this area. Tell me how you got into firefighting and being a first responder.
Well, I started at an early age. My dad was a volunteer, so I kind of followed in his footsteps, and I just fell in love with it. It's a dream job that I've always wanted.
3 departments cover the village of Flat Rock. Tell me how that arrangement works and what your responsibilities are.
The village of Flat Rock, it's probably approximately 8.2 square miles. Valley Hill probably covers 2 to 3 square miles of that area. So we just work collaboratively together to make things work and make sure we get them the services that they need.
One of the things that we always like to see is that you don't want to have your vehicles go into someone's home with the lights and sirens going. You want to go there in an opportunity to help them prevent emergency situations. You got a great education program for that.
That's right. We have a fire and life safety educator. His name's Chris McDowell, and he's a captain with our fire department. He goes out to people's homes. He does home inspections. He does smoke detector installs, and he also goes out and checks batteries and things. And he also hosts CPR classes for the community as well. So.
If someone wants to get an opportunity, whether it be in Flat Rock or the rest of your district, how should they contact them?
They can call our station. It's 828-692-2581, and just ask to speak to Chris, and he'll get them set up.
That's terrific. Well, Battalion Chief Hossley, thank you for being here with us today. Thank you for everything you and Valley Hill Fire and Rescue do for us.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right. Dwight Easler wears two hats when it comes to helping people in Cherokee County. He's the chief at the Corinth Volunteer Fire Department in Gaffney.
What I tell our firefighters, and I tell others, we live in a fallen world where bad things happen, and the role of the first responder is to restrain that.
Lord, fill us with your spirit today to see your word.
And he's a longtime pastor, now serving as a director at the Broad River Baptist Association.
My wife tells me that the only time she can tell that I'm distracted is when I hear a fire truck go by. Like a baby can cry, people's phones can go off, but if I hear a fire truck go by, I know they've got something, they're going to a call.
Easler was born to be a firefighter. His dad was one. Dwight went to the fire academy at age 16. He's been with the Corinth Volunteer Fire Department for 20 years.
During the day from 8 to 5, our part-timer will respond one truck. So the volunteers come in after that. Last year we averaged from dispatch to being on the scene in 9 minutes.
He's a married father of 4. His oldest, Seth, went from bouncing on Dad's knee to now being a firefighter himself. But the Easler family has suffered through an unimaginable tragedy. Their son Benji died in a miniature train crash at Cleveland Park in Spartanburg in 2011. Benji was 6.
There were some times in my life after the train accident that I really considered, it's time to leave the fire service. I was worried that, the trauma of the event would really influence the way I could act on a fire scene. I had to work through a lot of that.
How do you balance grief that is natural with faith?
It's really helped me continue on probably longer than I would have.
And Easler will keep going. He was just re-elected as the fire chief.
Being in the volunteer fire service definitely is a ministry, and it's a way to serve your community that it takes things out of you, but it's worth it.
And that's First Responder Friday. We're going to take a short break from our stories of these amazing heroes. Stick around for more First Responder Friday right here on WSPA+. It's a privilege and an honor to get the opportunity to bring you these stories of our local heroes, those who choose to put their lives on the line or simply choose to be there for us when we need them most. Here are some more stories from our First Responder Fridays. This truck looks like it would fit in nicely at a water park, but it has a very specific purpose at the Greenville Downtown Airport. The ARF, that's short for Aircraft Rescue and Firefighting, is needed to meet the challenges of a plane or helicopter crash.
It's much greater than a regular structure fire. We have to deal with avgas or fuel from the plane. Obviously, it's very highly flammable, so we have to make sure we stay out of the path of that, as well as how many victims are on site.
The ARF packs 1,500 gallons of water, 500 pounds of dry chemical, and nearly 200 gallons of foam to suppress vapors from a fuel fire.
It is staffed every day, 24 hours a day. So those guys are highly trained. They're not only trained in firefighting, but they're also trained in hazardous materials response as well.
The water can be fired from 2 cannons, and they gave me a try at the controls. This would be the greatest way ever to water your lawn. It's serious gear, but for an amateur, it's a blast. There's another reality for the ARF.
Well, unfortunately, when there's a plane going to crash, they're not always going to crash at the airport. So it could respond anywhere within the city or on the interstate.
And if you see the ARF on the road, you'll see the driver's seat is in the middle of the truck.
That's very different from riding down the road. It's a very large vehicle to be riding down small streets. So if you see it out and about, just stay back away from it and enjoy it.
I'm Fred Cunningham, and that's First Responder Friday. Firefighters, sheriff's deputies, and other first responders gathered here on an April day in Rutherford County to honor bravery. The reason? A fire, a bad one, at a home early Christmas Eve morning. Temperatures were in single digits. The wind chill, 6 below zero.
The temperatures were extremely brutal. Everything was freezing up on us. Just the overspray from the hose as we're fighting fire will freeze to your face. Is how cold it is out there.
A woman made it out of the house, but her husband was still inside. Cliffside Fire Department Assistant Chief John Splon made the call.
I'm gonna go get him. I didn't have any backup at the time. Firefighter Brown was coming right behind me, and he was getting dressed as I made the decision to go in.
We'd rather than people be out and then we just go in and put the fire out. But I mean, it's part of the job. It's part of what we signed up to do.
The two firefighters can now recall what happened next. They found the man in a smoke-filled room when time almost instantly ran out.
Everything in the room started to ignite. So once we saw that, it was a hurry-up situation. So we just grabbed what we could and made our way out.
The firefighters got the man out alive, but he would later succumb to his injuries.
Thank you, God.
Months later, his wife was there at the Cliffside Fire Department to thank those rescuers.
We're always against the clock. You know, the time the tones go off, we're racing against the clock.
And these two may have been destined to go in there. John has known Austin since Brown was 3 years old.
Like I said, I trust him with my life, and I trained him. I've seen him come up. I've seen him turn into a great firefighter. And if I was going to have anybody with me that night, it would be Austin.
And Vance Mahaffey's here from Benson Hyundai. He's got a special presentation.
On behalf of Benson Hyundai and the entire community, we want to thank you for what you do and risking your lives for all of us. And here's a small token of our appreciation.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
And that is First Responder Friday. Sweet dream, baby. Union, South Carolina, 1962. Russell Rourke Jr. joins the city fire department. 1 year later, he switched agencies and became a police officer. It happened at a time when Union only had one police car on the day shift. Now let's fast forward to today. Rourke drives his own car, and he's still on duty more than 6 decades later at age 83.
I enjoy doing it, and just don't want to just go home and sit at the house and watch TV or anything, but I just want to keep working.
And work he does, 50 hours a week, but more on that in a moment. When Rourke started, he tells us Union used an almost bat signal-like way to send officers on a call.
If they couldn't get the person that was working in the car, they only had one car on Main Street. If they couldn't get to that person, they would cut that light on. Somebody walking the street would have to walk to the police department, find out where the call was, and go answer it.
Russell Rourke eventually became Union's police chief in 1983. He would hold that job for 20 years until he retired. Well, sort of.
I got to thinking. I went to work 62. And there was a police officer there. They'd been there 36 years. And he retired, and he lived only 9 months. 2 days after I left the city, I was working with the sheriff department.
And he still is, and he's still known as Chief Rourke. He works longer hours than most of us, serving magistrate and family court papers across Union County.
You'll hear him on the weekends on the radio, Saturday, Sunday, and then when you get his time sheet, he just turns in his regular hours, like he worked 40 hours a week.
I come in at 7 o'clock in the morning, I leave at 5. But sometimes I come out on the weekend, and if I'm behind, and I serve the paper some of them Saturdays, and I can serve a lot more sometimes on the weekend than I can during the week because people are home.
Chief Rourke also got notice outside of the county. He received the Order of the Palmetto in 2021, which recognizes outstanding service to the state of South Carolina. And Vance Mahaffey's here with Benson Hyundai with a presentation.
On behalf of Benson Hyundai and the entire Union community, we want to thank you for your long years of service and all of your help here in Union County, okay? Thank you, and here's a small token of our appreciation.
Thank you, sir.
And that is First Responder Friday. Those are just some of the people who chose careers with one goal in mind: to help others. You can see new editions of First Responder Friday every week on 7 News in our morning and afternoon newscasts. You can also find all of our previous profiles in the First Responder Friday section of WSPA.com and the 7 News app. And join us here for more episodes of First Responder Friday on WSPA+. I'm Fred Cunningham, and we'll see you next time.